Teresa Kittredge. I'm the founder of 100 Real Women. I want to welcome everybody here tonight. We are a emerging nonprofit, and we are all about creating connections and inspiring leadership. We just finished 100 meetings across the state, and the meeting tonight is an outcome of that, which is really demystifying paths to leadership. And we're really talking about how do we look cross-sector and look at how more women can be engaged and knowledgeable about leadership opportunities that are there and realize that they can do that. So a couple of things we want to talk about tonight. First, we want to talk about voting. Make sure that you know where to vote and how to vote. And we'll throw some resources in the chat with our Secretary of State's office and Vote 411, where you can find out a lot about voting. Also, to feature our Nicollet County attorney, and I'm very excited tonight to be able to hand the meeting off to a couple amazing young women who are with 100 Real Women, and they will be facilitating the session tonight, and that is Jasmine Terry. Jasmine's our graduate student from the University of Minnesota, and Lindsay Rombling. Lindsay is our undergrad at the University of Minnesota Morris, and we're just happy to I'm happy to hand it over and let these young women take us forward.
Hello, everyone. As Teresa said, I am the graduate student for 100 Real Women. I actually was an intern for them last year, and I was able to intern for them in my undergrad career, eventually graduated, and then I went to grad school, and now I'm here as the graduate assistant. So I just can't get enough of 100 Real Women. I will first let you all know what 100 Real Women is all about, and then what these sessions are about. So 100 Real Women is a nonprofit and nonpartisan organization interested in providing resources to support and serve rural women. We envision a world where more rural women lead positive change for themselves, their families, communities, the nation, and the world. We aim to achieve this by identifying and creating relationships, networking, leadership, mentorship, and civic engagement. We just completed over 100 meetings across the state of Minnesota as part of our 100 and 100 project, where we learned from and listened to women. This resulted in over 3,000 requests for support. Building from that engagement and research, we are now in the process of creating and building a civic mentorship network with the end goal of engaging 100 rural elected women to mentor 100 rural women to pursue public service and, in addition, providing public service and voter education. This spring, we were also fortunate to work with 3 graduate students at the U of M Humphrey School on a capstone project called April 2022, The Barriers, Breakthroughs, and Backbone of Elected Rural Women. In this project, the graduate students conducted interviews with elected women and learned a lot from these interviews. We are now holding these informational/educational meetings called Learn About It. So welcome to the beginning stages of our Civic Mentorship Network. If anyone is interested, or you know any women interested in public office and is looking for a mentor, we will be providing a survey after these sessions for you to fill out and indicate your interest. If you have any friends that were unable to attend but are interested in learning more about these positions, we will be recording these meetings and posting the video recording on our website. So let's get started. We'll first be introducing our speaker for today, and then you'll get to hear from her directly. If there are any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. Otherwise, we will be holding space at the end of the session for any questions. You may raise your hand during this space or post those questions in the chat. If you don't feel comfortable sharing these questions in front of everyone, you can direct message Lindsay and she will ask them for you.
Awesome. Michelle Zehnder Fischer is the county attorney for Nicollet County. Michelle has served in the county office for over 2 decades and has held the title of county attorney since 2011. Before this, Michelle worked as an assistant county attorney and chief deputy county attorney. Throughout her career, she has found interest in truancy and educational neglect, and her office utilizes a truancy diversion program that works with students and parents. In addition to her work as county attorney, Michelle serves on the board of directors for the Minnesota County Attorneys Association and was recently elected as the president-elect. Michelle is involved in many other organizations, such as the Equal Access to Justice Committee, and is the chairperson of Stakeholders for Educational Success. Please give a warm welcome to Michelle.
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here and share the role of county attorney with all of you and answer any questions that you might have, and really support everyone in whatever path they choose for their careers, and hope that it includes elected office, because we do need more women in that role. And I think in order to really fulfill and get there, we all need to support each other and be ready to lend an ear and supporting hand, just support and help along the way. My pathway to elected office really was not intentional, nor was it direct. My interest from the time that I was in high school was working and addressing child abuse issues. And so my pathway once I got out of high school was I was going to be a pediatrician, and then I took chemistry and decided that maybe a pediatrician was not where I was going to end up. And then I took a child psychology class and had an amazing mentor and role model there who helped me think about what my future might look like if I went into child psychology. And then I ended up in a criminal justice class and ended up in law school, and was really able to target my passions for helping children as throughout law school, and then as an assistant county attorney before becoming county attorney. I did not go into law intending to run for county attorney, but I was very fortunate to have that opportunity along the way, and I'm happy to share how I ended up there as we go forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So you definitely touched on a couple of questions we have at 100 Rural Women. And our first question was, why did you run for office? So if you wanted to go more into detail about that or be more specific, we'd love to hear that.
Sure. Well, first of all, talking about the county attorney's offices, there are really two models for county attorney's offices in Minnesota. There is a full-time county attorney's office, and there's a part-time county attorney's office. There are fewer and fewer part-time county attorney's offices in Minnesota, and they are mostly in rural counties because at one point, the county attorney's office really did just focus on prosecution. And as time has passed, the topics that county attorneys touch upon have expanded, as have the responsibilities of county attorneys. And so they used to be able to fulfill those roles in county attorneys' offices by having private law firms serve as county attorneys' offices. Like I said, that's probably going away as time passes. And so when I came to Nicollet County, I was in a part-time county attorney's office, and Nicollet County was growing, and the needs for a full-time county attorney's office also grew. And so when my boss was getting ready to retire from county attorney, there was conversation about making the office full-time. And so at that point, I was appointed by the county board to fill out my predecessor's term. And then I ran for office. And so that's kind of a long-winded answer about why I ran. That's kind of my pathway. But I really ran and continue to run because of the commitment really to public service and helping my community. As county attorney, we can touch so many lives in how we help others do their roles. And so I represent human services, I represent public services, I represent all the different varieties of offices within the county. And I really wanted to continue to serve my community here in Nicollet County. And so that's when I had an opportunity. That's how I decided to run.
Awesome. Sounds like you really care about your community and the people that live there. So kind of going off of that, what do you do in your office that you're serving in, and what does like an average day look like for you?
Well, I think I'll start with the second second question first. I don't know that I have an average day. And I know we all say that, but I don't know that I could compare 2 days and have the same day ever. nor do when I come to work usually know what my day is going to bring. Last week is a prime example. I came in here Monday. I had some wonderful gaps in my calendar where I had like 3 projects I wanted to get done last week. And pretty soon I started receiving emails from department heads of some issues that had arose, and those consumed my entire week. And I didn't get any of the 3 projects done that I intended to do at the beginning of the week. And so there's no average day other than average is responding to a lot of needs, whether it be new criminal cases that come in, child protection cases, or just assisting other departments with their day-to-day work, and giving them some statutory interpretation or helping them do policy making. And I'm going to share my screen because when I was I was fortunate the first time that I ran for or had to run for county attorney. I did not have a contested election. The second time I did. And so this was a poster that I created for talking about all the different responsibilities that a county attorney has. And I'll kind of leave it up for a little bit because it's a lot to take in, and there's a lot of different topics that we cover as county attorney. And so on any given day, I might answer questions about 1 to 10 of those things. The only other thing that is not on this list that has been a growing area of my practice is election law. Nicollet County and quite frankly, rural counties as a whole, I think, are seeing some of the challenges that we're hearing about nationwide to our election system and attacking that election system and that election process. And so counties are having to respond to all kinds of questions and requests regarding elections. So that is not on my list, but will be added to my list as a pretty big area that we are working with our departments on.
Wow, it seems like you have a lot of responsibilities. So considering that you have all these responsibilities, what are the benefits to your position? And not just like financially or anything like that. What are benefits outside of that?
I think the benefit is what I talked about earlier, is really being able to serve the community and make a difference for the people that come in contact with Nicollet County government, whether it be in the criminal process, child protection, child support, any of those areas for serving the community. It's an important role to help formulate those policy decisions about how we're going to go about our, for example, criminal prosecution or child protection, and balancing all the different interests that we encounter in making all the decisions. I think the difference in the county attorney role versus, for example, a private firm, there's similarities and there's differences. So if you have ever worked with an attorney, the attorney is there to advance your interests. They explain your options, and then you make the selection, good or bad, depending on the likelihood of what that outcome might be. And the attorney is there to really advocate for your interests. As a county attorney, I represent the county departments, and they make their policy decisions, and then I give them advice as to those policies and those decisions, and then I advocate that role for that department. In the criminal area and the juvenile prosecution, my job is to do justice. We're to be ministers of justice. And so in that role, we have to weigh a lot of interests, not only the individual that is alleged to have committed the crime, we have the victim of the crime. We have to look at what does that victim want. We have public safety. We have long-term impact to the community of whatever decision that we decide to make. And so you get to have a really big role and impact in this job, and that's a challenge, and I enjoy that challenge. I don't know if I answered all of the question that you might have had there.
Yeah, thank you so much. We just had a few questions, and we're going to do the rest of the time open up for Q&A. Lindsay will be facilitating that, and I know there's already a few questions in the chat that she can ask.
Yeah, there's a few questions I'll ask. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand, message me privately. I'll kick it off, and then we will head over to Alexa and see what questions she has. So it sounds like you do a lot in your office, and it seems like that is a lot to take on as one person. So one question I have is, like, do you have a team that helps you?
I couldn't do this job without my team of assistants. Here in Nicollet County, I have 4 other lawyers that help do that day-to-day work. And then I have 4 legal assistants and a victim witness coordinator. So, and we are busy all the time. Without their hard work, our job wouldn't get done.
That's great. Alexa, do you have a question?
I do. I was looking at your list, and I was just wondering a couple things, but how many cases are you typically working on at a time? And also, is it when something gets brought to you, or is it clearly that you're supposed to be representing a certain side of the case? I'm a bit curious how your job works differently from if you were to be at a firm.
Sure. So how many cases I have going on at one time? I thought about cleaning up the background of me, and I thought, no, that's probably not fair, because all those files are there because those are different things that I'm working on. So we could be working on any number of cases. We have probably 300 to 400 cases or so that come in a year that are divided up between all of us as attorneys. And that doesn't count the policy decisions or the policy discussions that we might have, or general questions that we ask for different departments. I don't want to mislead folks either. There are some questions that get answered routinely, and it might be a long phone conversation to talk through pros and cons of certain decision pathways. So some of it we know because we've answered the question before, but some of it requires research. In terms of what side we take, it's easy and it's not easy sometimes, because again, when you're hiring a lawyer to represent you, their job is to represent your interests. Sometimes the issues that we address as county attorneys on behalf of our clients are not always straightforward. There are benefits to certain decisions to maybe certain groups of individuals, and there are detriments to certain groups of individuals, or there's long-term policy implications as a result of taking a path. And so ultimately the department makes most of those decisions, but we kind of help flesh out what are the pros and cons of those decisions. On criminal matters, I represent the state of Minnesota. And so my job on criminal cases is really as a criminal prosecutor, but my job is to do justice and figuring out where, how to resolve cases and what interests to balance can be a challenge. But on criminal cases, I don't have a client per se. I have the state of Minnesota and the interests of justice.
That's really interesting. And that sounds like a lot of caseloads to take on for one office. Caitlin has her hand raised. Do you have a question?
Yeah, so kind of going back also to the different positions you or different cases you said that you handle. I was just wondering, like, Alexa kind of asked my initial question, but is there like a certain pattern that you typically see in case trends, or a certain type of case or case category that you see yourself dealing with more? Or has that changed as you've been a county attorney over the years, or has it stayed pretty consistent?
I think, so we'll talk about the civil work first. I think the breadth of issues that counties are facing is expanding, just in terms of the different areas that counties are asked to start taking a role in. When I started in the county attorney's office, if you would have told me, I would have been having conversations with our health and human services director about a pandemic and making policy decisions as a result of a pandemic and shutdowns, and talking with schools about how do we respond to kids learning at home. I don't know what I would have said to that type of question. So the breadth of issues that come before the county attorney's office, I think, has expanded. In our human services and criminal justice areas, the impact of mental health and chemical use has just simply expanded and exploded. And trying to address those issues within the system is an everyday challenge of balancing all those issues and interests. Now, that being said, I will tell you, I have to share, so the work that we do is not, it's challenging, it's emotionally draining, and we deal with some not pretty stuff. I mean, you have to develop a pretty thick skin, but when you're looking at people being hurt, that's hard to do. But last week and this week, I got to attend adoptions for two sibling groups that had been in the child protection system, that had some pretty difficult, obviously, circumstances in their biological homes. And we got to see through an adoption for both of those, and seeing the joy of both the adopted family and the children kind of makes all that difficulty and hard work more than worthwhile.
That's amazing. We have a question in the chat. How do you step away and like recharge? Because some of those situations, while they sound awesome and watching an adoption is awesome, they sound like sometimes it can be very draining.
I think that's where we as women have to find ways to support each other. I find support with getting together with my fellow moms and kicking back and having a glass of wine, or eating, watching movies, whatever that might be. I think that's the challenge for women in elected office, is finding those supports and insight to know exactly what it is that what we're experiencing for struggles and challenges, and having that insight, and then being willing to support others as well. I'm a mom. I have two kids that I'm going to be an empty nester next year, and I'm not really sure that I'm ready for that. But as a young mom, it was really difficult to find that support and that balance, because one of the things as more women get into elected office is really managing what those expectations are as a mom, as a professional, as an elected official, of balancing all three. And society still expects perfection in all three. And that's, really not realistic. We're humans. And having support from other women to recognize what appropriate expectations are, and then to support how we go about doing that work is so critically important. Because I was the first female lawyer in St. Peter. When I started here 28 years ago, I was the first female lawyer in town. And, it was a challenge about what people expected. And people would look at me and think that I was the legal secretary or the paralegal, and explaining that I'm the lawyer here. I'm not. And I still experience that when I'm sitting at county board meetings, and I sit just off to the side of the county commissioners, because it's so there's two different ends of the where the county commissioners sit, and routinely people perceive me to be the recording secretary instead of the county attorney, even though I have a plaque there that says county attorney on it. We really need to continue to emphasize the role of women in all forms of government.
That's amazing. And I think that myself and so many other women, probably everyone in this room, has experienced something like that before. We have a question in the chat from Beth. Given that you were appointed at first, what can you share about the importance of appointed positions overall in government?
I think the difference is the role that's being looked at for the appointment. For example, when I was first appointed as county attorney, I don't know how many people that lived within Nicollet County might have been interested in serving in that role. I think it's important that we have a vetting process about doing those appointments, though, so that the most qualified person receives that appointment, rather than not necessarily doing that thorough vetting, because there is a benefit of the incumbent, right? And so making sure that there's a thorough vetting in that process is really important.
Awesome. Well, we are running out of time, so I'd like to give you space to give one last closing statement on the importance of mentorship, or if you have any advice for prospective women that are seeking public office, what would that be?
I think it's so critical of what this group is looking at in terms of finding mentors. I was very fortunate to have really strong women that I could look at as mentors, who were assistant county attorneys, who became a judge, who were directors in their programs, that I could look at and model my pathway. So having that mentorship is so critically important. If you decide to go to law school, you could be a county attorney, you can be an assistant county attorney and get that experience and be county attorney. It is a role in elected office that you do have to have a law degree in order to be county attorney, but you can do it, and just find that good mentor and support.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and present. I am going to turn over the time, we have about a minute left, to Teresa to tell everyone about a way to stay connected with 100 Rural Women and the Civic Mentorship Network.
Well, thank you so much, Jasmine and Lindsay, and thanks, Michelle. This was amazing, and we just feel so fortunate to have you with us and to be able to talk about this office, because that's our whole goal with these 30-minute, it's quick, time goes really fast, but it's really to give people a glimpse of this is the office, this is what the office does. And of course, we want to encourage more women to lead. We want to encourage more women to support other women that want to lead. So that's the whole goal of this program. And there's a lot of ways to stay connected with 100 Rural Women. We'll throw those in the chat. We also want to remind everybody on voting. We'll put that in the chat again, too, to make sure that you get out and vote and know where to vote and how to vote. And then also, we do have a couple more of these sessions this week. At 7:45 Thursday morning, we have Kelly Lake, who's a sheriff in Carleton County, is going to talk about being a sheriff. And then Senator Julie Rosen is going to be at 5:30 on Thursday to talk about what it's like to serve in the Senate. So again, thank you so much. We will be posting the recording up on our website. I know there were a lot of folks that wanted to come tonight and schedules didn't allow. So we just appreciate the opportunity to be able to record these and share these. And thank you for helping us begin to build our network, Michelle. So thanks everybody for joining tonight and taking the time, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much.